For today's reading lesson, you'll need your book baggie or your book box of books. Start with a little imagination game today. Ready? Close your eyes. Now, imagine it's a hot summer day and you're at the beach. You just bought a triple scoop ice cream cone. You walk away from the ice cream stand holding your cone carefully. As you go to take your first lick, the ice cream drops into the sand. What would you do? Quick, pause the video and tell someone in your house. There are many different ways a person can respond to a problem. When your ice cream falls in the sand, you can have a tantrum. Or you could say, is there any way I could get another? Maybe if I tell the ice cream man what happened, I can convince him to give me another. Or you could scoop up the top part of the ice cream, the part that didn't touch the sand, of course, and eat just that part. This is my point. Today, I want to teach you that the way a person responds to trouble says a lot about who the person is, in real life and in stories too. The way a person responds to trouble, to a problem, gives clues as to what kind of person this is. So now what I want you to do is get out one of your own books. I want you to look over and see what you've read so far and think about whether there's a place in the story where your main character runs into the problem. See if you can find a part and put a Post-it note or a piece of paper on it. I did this with our Frog and Toad book that we've been working on, because when we left off reading last time, we knew one problem. Toad's home was a mess, and he was feeling grumpy and tired. So I want you to watch what I do to notice how characters in this book respond to the trouble, to a problem. Then, in a moment, you can think about how the characters in your book respond to trouble. Are you ready? Let's reread the story we started. Called Tomorrow. As we reread and as we read on too, we know that Toad has a problem. It isn't a spilled ice cream cone. It's a messy house. But Toad has a choice, just like you do when your ice cream drops into the sand. How will he respond to the problem or to his trouble? We know that whatever he does will show us something about what he is like as a person or a character. Toad woke up. Drat, he said. This house is a mess. I have so much work to do. Frog looked through the window. Toad, you are right, said Frog. It is a mess. Toad pulled the covers over his head. I'll do it tomorrow, said Toad. Today I will take life easy. What I do first is pause and think. How does the character respond to the trouble or the problem? Are you thinking that it seems like Toad tries to ignore the problem? He pulls the covers over his head. Go away, mess. He doesn't want to even look at his messy house, right? He says he'll do it tomorrow. Did you notice that too? So after I think, how does the character respond to the problem? I think, what does that say about what kind of person they are? It takes some thinking, doesn't it? His house is messy, so he goes under the covers of his bed saying, go away, mess. What kind of person responds to a messy house that way? I'm sure you have lots of ideas. If this were reading time, I'd write my ideas on a Post-it. That way I couldn't forget them. I'd be thinking Toad is lazy and irresponsible. He has work to do, but he doesn't want to get started cleaning. Instead, he stays in bed and says he'll do it tomorrow. What are some different ideas? You could think that he's careless because he let his house get really messy and now he doesn't even care about cleaning it up. You could also say Toad is very sleepy because he just wants to stay in bed. So I could write all of those ideas down. Do you see how we can learn even more information about characters when we look carefully at how they handle the problems that they face? In our Frog and Toad book, there's a problem. Toad's messy house. And though this won't always be the case in this story, we can see the way two different characters respond to that one problem. Look in your own books and see if you can find two different characters responding to a problem in your book. Back to Frog and Toad and think about how Frog responded to the problem of Toad's messy house. And let's think of what this shows about Frog as a character. Remember, the first thing is to think about what does the character, Frog, do when there's a problem. Frog came into the house. Toad, said Frog, your pants and your jacket are laying on the floor. Tomorrow, said Toad from under the covers. Your kitchen sink is filled with dirty dishes, said Frog. What does Frog do about this problem? Well, we know that Frog isn't letting Toad just ignore the mess. He comes inside and points out all the things that need to be cleaned up. What do we need to think next? What does it show about the kind of person Frog is? What are some ideas that you have about the kind of person that Frog is? You could say that Frog is responsible because he wants to fix the problem right away. And maybe he's a little bossy because he's telling Toad what to do. I know that you have some other ideas about Frog too. We can learn so much about the characters in our books by paying attention to what they do and how they handle problems. Your job today is to email me or tell me in our office hours the trouble that your character has been facing in your book that you've been reading and how they respond. Happy reading!